The moment I realized I lost my best friend, he was standing right in front of me. Same face, same voice, but not the same man. His name was Eric, and for 10 years, we built everything together. From nothing, just two guys, a laptop, cheap coffee, and way too much confidence. Late nights, big risks, bigger wins. We weren't just business partners. We were brothers. And when the company finally took off, he became the CEO. I handled operations. No ego, no drama, just trust. That's how it used to be, until she showed up. Vanessa, mid-20s, sharp, confident, too confident. At first, I didn't think much of it. New hire, good energy, fine. But Eric noticed her, and that's when things started to change. Not fast. That would have been easier. Slow, quiet, dangerous, longer meetings, closed doors, more distractions, less focus, less discipline, less him. Relax, he told me one day. We're doing great. Yeah, we were, but not because of him anymore. And deep down, he knew it. He just didn't care. Because now, every day around 4 p.m., his office door would close, and she'd be inside for hours. At first, I told myself it was work. Then I told myself it wasn't my business. Then, I stopped lying to myself. Because one night, I stayed late, later than usual. The office was empty, dark, silent, except for one thing. Laughter, coming from his office. Not normal laughter, not work laughter. Something else, something personal. I walked down the hallway slowly, every step heavier than the last. And when I reached the door, I didn't knock. I just stood there, listening. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just a distraction. This was the beginning of the end. I should have said something sooner. That thought wouldn't leave my head all night because I knew what I heard. And deep down, I knew what it meant. But the next morning, I still hoped I was wrong. I walked into the office early. Too early. Empty desks. Cold coffee. Silence. I sat there, thinking, how do you tell your best friend he's destroying everything? By noon, I couldn't wait anymore. I walked straight to his office. No knocking. He looked up, annoyed. That was new. Hey, he said. What's up? I closed the door. Slowly. That got his attention. We need to talk. His face changed. Not concern. Irritation. About what? I paused. Just for a second. Then I said it. You're losing focus. Silence. Heavy. His jaw tightened. I've been covering for you, I said. Missed meetings. Delays. This isn't you. He leaned back. Slow. Cold. You came in here to lecture me? That hit. Because this wasn't how we talked. Not before. I came in here because you're my friend. Still nothing. And because this is affecting everything. He stared at me. He knew what I meant. I didn't say her name. I didn't have to. Be careful, he said. Quiet. Sharp. That tone. I'd never heard it before. I'm serious, I said. The company is slipping. People are noticing. And then, I pushed too far. She's distracting you. There it was. No going back now. He stood up. Fast. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what I see. Wrong move. Because in that moment, everything changed. He wasn't defending himself. Because I was wrong. He was defending her. Because I was right. She's doing her job, he snapped. No, I said. That's not what this is. Another step forward. Tension rising. You think you can question my decisions? My decisions. Not ours. His. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't talking to my best friend anymore. I was talking to someone who already made a choice. And it wasn't me. Stay in your lane, he said. Cold. Handle operations. I'll handle everything else. Everything else. Including her. I nodded. Slowly. Not because I agreed. Because I understood something now. This wasn't going to fix itself. And if he kept going like this, he wasn't just risking the company. He was about to destroy it. And the worst part? He didn't even see it coming. After that conversation, everything changed. Not fast. Not loud. Worse. Slow. That's how things really fall apart. No explosions. No big moments. Just small failures. Stacking up. Eric stopped showing up to meetings. At first, once a week. Then twice. Then, almost never. Handle it, he texted me. Like I always did. Like I always had to. So I covered for him. Again. And again. And again. But people aren't stupid. They noticed. Where's Eric? That question started coming up more. In meetings. In emails. Everywhere. Client call. I'd say. Lie. Another one. And I hated how easy it was becoming. Because now, I wasn't just watching the company fall apart. I was helping hide it. Then came the numbers. That's when it got real. We lost a major deal. Not because we couldn't close it. Because Eric didn't show up. Didn't answer. Didn't care. I stared at the screen. Millions. Gone. Just like that. And I knew exactly where he was. Not working. With her. Again. That's when something inside me changed. Not anger. Not yet. Something colder. Clarity. Because this wasn't temporary. This wasn't a phase. This was a choice. And he kept choosing her. Over the company. Over the team. Over everything we built. Over me. Later that night, I walked past his office. Door closed. Lights on. Same as always now. I stopped. Not because I wanted to. Because I needed to be sure. One more time. I knocked. Silence. Then movement. The door opened slightly. Vanessa. Smiling. Too comfortable. Eric's busy, she said. Busy. That word again. I looked past her. He was there. But he didn't come to the door. Didn't say a word. Didn't even try. Tell him we need to talk. I said. She didn't move. I'll let him know. She wouldn't. And she knew. I knew that. That moment. That silence between us. Yeah. That's when everything became clear. This wasn't just distraction anymore. She had influence. Control. And Eric? He let it happen. No. He chose it. I walked away slowly. But this time, I wasn't frustrated. I wasn't trying to fix it anymore. Because now I understood something. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And if he was willing to burn everything, then I had to decide one thing. Do I go down with him? Or do I make my move first? That was the moment. I stopped trying to save him. Not because I didn't care. Because I finally understood something. He didn't care. Not enough to save himself. And once that happens, everything becomes damage control. The next few weeks? Brutal. Not loud. Not dramatic. Worse. Slow. Like watching a crack turn into a collapse. Clients started pulling away. At first, small signs. Let's revisit later. Timing isn't right. We're exploring other options. Translation? They didn't trust us anymore. And honestly, I didn't blame them. Because the guy who used to close every deal was gone. And I was sitting there, alone, explaining delays I didn't cause, defending decisions I didn't make, carrying pressure. That wasn't mine. And every day, it got heavier. Then payroll hit. That's when everything got real. I sat in my office, staring at the numbers. Cash was tight, margins dropping, expenses rising. And Eric? Gone. Again. Phone off. No reply. No explanation. Nothing. I clenched my jaw. This can't keep going. Because now, this wasn't about growth anymore. It wasn't about reputation. It was survival. Later that day, one of the senior managers walked in. No knock. No smile. Just one question. Be honest, what's going on? I froze. Because I'd been avoiding that question for weeks. But now, I couldn't lie anymore. Not to him. Not to the team. Not to myself. I took a breath. Slow. Heavy. Eric's not fully here, I said. He stared at me. Didn't blink. That's not what I asked. Silence. The kind that tells you it's already too late. I leaned back. And for the first time, I said it out loud. We have a problem. Not him. Not me. Us. Because now, it was spreading. Through the team. Through the company. Through everything we built. And once doubt gets in, it doesn't leave. He nodded slowly. Like he already knew. Like everyone already knew. And that hit the hardest. Because while I was protecting Eric, he was already exposed. And I was the only one pretending otherwise. That night, I stayed late. Alone. Same office. Same silence. But this time, no laughter. Just pressure. I walked past his office. Door closed. As always. But this time, I didn't stop. Because something changed. This wasn't about fixing him anymore. This was about saving what was left. And if that meant making a move he wouldn't like, so be it. Because one thing became clear. If I didn't act, there wouldn't be anything left to save. That was it. I was done warning him. Done waiting. Done hoping he'd wake up. Because now, this wasn't his problem anymore. It was mine. And I wasn't going down with him. The next morning, I didn't go to his office. Didn't call him. Didn't text. For the first time in years, I stopped chasing him. And I started focusing on one thing. Control. I pulled every report. Every contract. Every number. Cash flow. Debt. Expenses. I needed the full picture. Not the version he was pretending was fine. The real one. And it was worse than I thought. Way worse. We were bleeding. Slowly, but consistently. Another few months like this, we were done. No recovery. No second chance. Just collapse. I leaned back in my chair. This is real, I said to myself. This is actually happening. And that's when I made the call. A lawyer. Not later. Not just in case. Now. I sat in his office 2 days later. Quiet room. Closed door. I slid everything across the table. Reports. Numbers. Proof. He read in silence. Didn't interrupt. Didn't react. Just read. And when he finally looked up, he said one thing. You're right to act now. That hit. Not because I didn't know, but because now. It was official. This wasn't stress. This wasn't temporary. This was failure. And I had to move before it took me down too. We started planning. Fast. Legal structure. Protection. Options. What I could secure. What I could separate. What I could save. Because if Eric wasn't thinking clearly, someone had to. And now? That someone was me. But there was one more thing. Something that didn't sit right. Vanessa. Because this wasn't random. This wasn't just attraction. This had gone too far. Too fast. Influence. Access. Control. She was everywhere now. In meetings. In decisions. In places she shouldn't be. And Eric? He let her in. To everything. That's when the thought hit me. Cold. Sharp. What if this wasn't just him losing control? What if someone else was taking it? I sat there in silence. Thinking. Connecting everything. And for the first time, I wasn't just worried about the company. I was worried about something bigger. Because if I was right, this wasn't just a mistake. This was something else entirely. And I was already in the middle of it. That's when everything shifted. Not slowly. Not quietly. Fast. Decisive. Final. I stopped reacting. And I started leading. The next few days, everything moved quickly. Legal protection. Accounts secured. Access limited. Step by step, I took control back. Not from the company. From the chaos. Because while Eric was distracted, I was watching everything. Every number. Every decision. Every risk. And I wasn't guessing anymore. I knew exactly how bad it was. And how close we were. To losing everything. But here's the thing. Eric had no idea. He still thought everything was fine. Still thought he was in control. Still thought nothing had changed. That was his biggest mistake. Because behind the scenes, everything had already changed. Then came the moment I didn't expect. He walked into the office. First time in days. Confident. Relaxed. Smiling. Like nothing was wrong. Like nothing was falling apart. Like he hadn't almost destroyed everything. Hey, he said casually. Things look good. I just looked at him. Didn't answer right away. Because for the first time, I saw it clearly. He wasn't in charge anymore. He just didn't know it yet. We need to talk, I said. His smile faded slightly. About what? Same question. Different situation. About the company, I said. Now he was listening. Really listening. Because something in my tone changed. Calm. Controlled. Not asking. Telling. I've been reviewing everything. I continued. Finances. Clients. Risk. He crossed his arms. Defensive. What are you getting at? I stepped closer. Things are worse than you think. Silence. But this time, he felt it. I've already taken steps, I said. That line hit. Hard. What steps? He asked. There it was. Concern. Finally. Protection, I said. For the company. For the team. He stared at me. And for the first time, he wasn't in control of the conversation. What did you do? Now his voice changed. Lower. Sharper. I held his gaze. Enough. Silence again. Heavy. But different now. Because this time, he was the one catching up. Not me. And that's when it hit him. Not everything. But enough. You went behind my back, he said. No anger yet. Just disbelief. I didn't flinch. I went ahead, I said. That line. It landed. Because he understood. This wasn't a warning anymore. This was action. And suddenly, the balance shifted. Completely. He wasn't the one making decisions anymore. I was. And the worst part? He realized it too late. Because while he was distracted, I already made my move. And there was no going back. That was the moment. Everything ended. Not with a fight. Not with yelling. With silence. He stood there, looking at me, trying to understand how things slipped out of his control. How far did you go? He asked. Quiet. Careful. Not angry anymore. Worried. I held his glot. Didn't rush the answer. Far enough, I said. Silence again. But this time, it hit different. Because now he knew. This wasn't something he could fix overnight. This wasn't something he could talk his way out of. This was real. You should have come to me, he said. That one almost made me laugh. Should have? I did, I said. Remember? Silence. His eyes dropped. Because he remembered. The warning. The conversation. The moment. He chose her. Over everything. Over us. Over the company. And now? Now it was too late. Eric, I said. And this time, there was no anger in my voice. Just truth. You didn't lose control. You gave it away. That line. It broke him. Not instantly. But you could see it. In his face. In his eyes. That realization. Slow. Heavy. Unavoidable. What happens now, he asked. That question. It used to be ours. Now. It was his. I took a breath. The company survives, I said. Because it has to. He nodded slowly. And for the first time in weeks. He looked present. Too late. And you? He asked. I paused. Because that part was already decided. I moved forward, I said. Without him. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was final. He didn't argue. Didn't fight. Didn't try to stop me. Because deep down, he knew. This was on him. I turned toward the door. Same office. Same hallway. Same place where everything started. But nothing felt the same. I stopped for a second. Not to look back, but to let it sink in. 10 years. Gone. Not because of failure. Because of a choice. And as I walked out, I realized something simple. You don't lose everything at once. You lose it, one bad decision at a time. And by the time you see it, it's already over. The end.